for joining us today. My name is Ray Montgomery. I'm the regional coordinator for Work to Include. And today, our Terre Haute team will be presenting regarding InvestABLE. So I'm going to turn it over today to Jared and Tim. They work in our Terre Haute area and Work to Include, and they have put together this great webinar, giving us great information about the InvestABLE account. So Jared, Tim, I'm turning it over to you guys.
All right, my name is Tim Taylor, and I'm a member of the Terre Haute Work to Include Coalition, and I'm here just to welcome you and share a little bit about, just briefly about the Terre Haute Work to Include Coalition. We're really excited to have this webinar and host this webinar today. And to have Amy with us from InvestABLE. So, a couple things I wanted to share about the Terre Haute Coalition. This is our second year participating in a campaign to engage employers during National Disability Employment Awareness Month. That's a mouthful. And last year, one of the things we did, we sent out information to, we kind of focused on some large employers in the Terre Haute area, and we sent them information from the Work to Include Employer Toolkit. If that's not something that you've checked out, that's a great resource. So you can find that at worktoinclude.org. So check that out. It's also got information for job seekers, also some information about state policy. So check out the Work to Include website. Again, that's worktoinclude.org. Last year, as part of our campaign also, Jared arranged for the mayor of Terre Haute, Duke Bennett, to make a proclamation in honor of Disability Employment Awareness Month. So we were, really proud to have him do that, and great to partner with the mayor of Terre Haute. This year, we're of course sending out, going to be distributing information, trying to engage employers as well. And last year we went big. This year we're going small. We're going to focus on some small businesses and try and get out some information to them about hiring individuals with disabilities. Also this year, we've kind of highlighted in our publicity some of the information we'll be sending out. An individual that is employed at TJ Maxx. His name is Charles Williams, and he's been employed there for a little bit, I think. And then one of the assistant managers from TJ Maxx also shared a quote that's going to be in the information that we send out to employers. And I wanted to share that quote with you because I thought it was just excellent. What she said was, "For several years, our store has proudly employed individuals with disabilities, and they currently make up 10% of our workforce. They have proven to be some of our most reliable, hardworking, and most lasting associates. Most of the people we hire stay with us for years and boost the morale of those around them, providing an extremely positive addition to our team. They are an integral part of the overall well-being of our store." And that's from the assistant manager of TJ Maxx in Terre Haute, and her name is Cassie Lowry. So, we're really proud to have an employer like TJ Maxx in our community. And of course, part of the reason we, want to participate in the campaign is to hopefully find more employers like TJ Maxx that will make a commitment to hiring people with disabilities. So that's all I wanted to share about our local coalition. I'd like to pass the mic on to my friend Jared Price. He is really the man behind the Terre Haute Coalition for Work to Include. He's been the leader since the coalition began. I've been helping him out a little bit here more recently, but this webinar was his idea, and so I'd like him to go ahead and take over and share a little bit more.
Hello, my name's Jared Price, and as Tim stated, I am the Work to Include team leader for the Terre Haute area. And today I have the esteemed honor of introducing my friend and colleague, Amy Corbin, who is with the Indiana INvestABLE, or Achieving a Better Life experience. Amy has been with the state for over 10 years and has a background in case management as well as social work, and is the executive director for the ABLE program. So without further ado, Amy, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you, Susan, and everyone from the Work to Include team for allowing me to be here today. It's really an honor, and I'm thrilled to be here to speak to you all more about ABLE accounts and what Indiana's ABLE program looks like. I am going to share some slides with you today to give you a visual, but I'll also talk through the slides. So as Jared mentioned, my name is Amy Corbin. I'm the executive director for the Indiana ABLE Authority, which oversees INvestABLE Indiana. So we have a board of directors that includes certain members from our community, from state government, lots of individuals within the disability community with expertise, specifically as well individuals who have expertise in financial planning and estate planning, and individuals with disability and family members of such individuals as well. So we have a well-rounded board that helps to keep me in line. But I will, before I get too deep into things, I do want to mention that if you can please put your questions in the chat box, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. So what exactly is ABLE? As Jared mentioned, ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience, and this legislation was enacted in 2014. And ABLE allows for tax-free savings for certain individuals with disabilities to save for qualified disability-related expenses and not risk losing their public benefits. So throughout the presentation, you'll see that there's really two key benefits to having an ABLE account. And the first huge key benefit to having an ABLE account is that ability to save without losing certain means tested benefits. So benefits like SSI, benefits like Medicaid and housing benefits. All the funds saved in an ABLE account they do not count as a resource when determining eligibility for those benefits. You might also hear ABLE accounts being referred to as 529A accounts or plans. That's just the section of the Internal Revenue Code under which ABLE was established. And then the second key benefit is that the assets and distributions from the ABLE account are disregarded or given special treatment when, well, I mentioned they're disregarded or given special treatment when determining, again, eligibility for most federal means tested programs. But sorry, the second key benefit is that tax advantage savings. So to give you a little bit of background on how Indiana got to having an ABLE program, we launched our program in July of 2017. So we celebrated an anniversary this past summer, and we actually partnered with what's called the National ABLE Alliance. And it includes Indiana as well as 17 other states that have taken an economies of scale approach in offering their ABLE programs that allows us to offer a more user-friendly and lower cost to the consumer program, and also allows us to offer easy to understand investments. Especially we wanted to be able to offer such easy to understand investments, given that we're working with a population that historically has not been able to save when receiving certain benefits. So who exactly is eligible for an ABLE account? As I mentioned a couple of moments ago, it's certain individuals with disabilities that are qualified. So pardon me, the current eligibility is that the disability onset must have occurred prior to the age of 26. And if the individual is receiving SSI or SSDI, they are automatically eligible. However, an individual does not have to be receiving benefits to be eligible for an ABLE account. If they, again, meet that age of onset criteria, have their disability onset before the age of 26, they can self-certify that they have a similarly severe disability. So that is a frequent question that I get, or a misunderstanding about ABLE accounts, is that I must be receiving benefits to be eligible for an ABLE account. And you absolutely do not have to be receiving benefits to be eligible for an ABLE account. So an eligible individual is the account owner, and they can open up the account for themselves, or an authorized individual can open up an account on their behalf. So an authorized individual, as it currently stands, is a parent, guardian, or power of attorney, but certainly if an individual would like to and is able to open the account on their own, they can do so. I will mention that there is current, specifically regarding that age of onset of disability, that 26 years old, there is legislation that currently sits within our federal government in both the House and the Senate. They're similar bills that they seek to achieve the same thing. And it's called the ABLE Age Adjustment Act. And the ABLE Age Adjustment Act seeks to increase ABLE, the age of onset of disability, from 26 to 46. So if you have a passion for advocacy and would like to reach out to your congressional delegation, we would certainly encourage you to do so. Certainly I can connect you with the appropriate resources if you'd like to reach out to me after today to talk more about that. But again, the ABLE Age Adjustment Act seeks to increase the age of onset of disability for ABLE accounts from 26 to 46. And just as a quick aside, the bill numbers, the House bill is HR 1219 and the Senate bill is S331. So certainly if you'd like to advocate for that, we hope to see it passed, because it would almost double our ABLE eligible population in the nation, and also include 1 million additional veterans that would be eligible for ABLE accounts. So under self-certification, so if an individual is not receiving SSI or SSDI, but they would like to self-certify that they have a disability for an ABLE account, they need to be able to attest to the following: that they have either blindness as defined by the Social Security Act, or a medically determinable physical or mental impairment with marked and severe function limitation that has lasted or expected to last at least 1 year, the result in the individual's death. And they need to have this disability-related diagnosis in writing, signed by a physician. We do encourage individuals to certainly keep this in their own records, because we do not collect that disability-related diagnosis in our enrollment process. It's just a self-attestation, self-certification button in the enrollment process that they click. And they do need to be able to recertify annually and maintain eligibility verification. So there again, making sure that you maintain that documentation in your own records. And our annual recertification process is not an exhaustive or even lengthy one at that. It's just an annual communication that's sent to the account owner in their regular statement that basically states that by continuing to have open their InvestABLE account, that they are verifying that they are recertifying that they continue to be eligible for that ABLE account. And I want to point out that ABLE accounts, while they are an incredible financial empowerment tool, they're not just for individuals that have the means to have an account. As I mentioned, we do have very affordable fee structures within the program. It's just a minimum of $25 within our program to open an account, and anytime you want to put money in, it's just a minimum of $25. So don't be too wary that you may not have the right means to regularly fund the account, because anyone, as you'll be able to see here in a few moments, can fund the account as well. So what exactly are qualified expenses? And this is where I get the bulk of my questions surrounding ABLE accounts, because qualified disability expenses from an ABLE account are really, really broad. And the legislation for ABLE was intentionally constructed as such, so that the ABLE account can be flexible in its usage, to allow for the account owners to meet their basic needs and the needs unique to them that they are experiencing. So a qualified expense my sort of rule of thumb and guidance, well, I will say I cannot provide tax or legal advice as it's related to, as they're related to qualified disability expenses. But a good rule of thumb to operate by in regards to qualified expenses is really a qualified expense from an ABLE account is anything that helps improve the individual's health, independence, or quality of life, and can somehow be related to living with their unique disability. So examples of qualified expenses do include basic living expenses. So food, education, housing expenses, transportation is a big one. If you want to use your ABLE account to save for, say, a vehicle or an accessible vehicle, you can use your ABLE account to pay for rent or a down payment on a home, for example, legal fees, financial management. It might be an important one for individuals utilizing an ABLE account, given that there are investment options, and you might want to get a little bit of additional guidance or advice in regards to what investment options might work best for your unique circumstances. Employment training and support, assistive technology, personal support services, maybe other oversight and monitoring expenses, and even funeral and burial expenses are a qualified expense from an ABLE account. So we see individuals really saving for the long term. We initially thought that ABLE accounts as an industry, we thought that they would be used a little more transactionally, and we're really seeing our account owners saving for their future, whether it be their own future or their loved one with a disability's future. They've proven to be a really unique way and important way, an impactful way to save. And I will mention that our current average account balance is about $7,000. So that's a far cry from the previous asset limit of $2,000, well, even current asset limit of $2,000. So allowing individuals to save up to $7,000 outside of that $2,000 is really, really amazing. We have about 7 million in assets under management within our program currently. So I did mention that second key benefit to having an ABLE account are the tax advantage savings. So what exactly are those? So post-tax dollars fund the ABLE account, and the savings can grow and be withdrawn tax-free as long as the savings are used for qualified disability-related expenses. So if the funds are used for what would be considered a non-qualified expense, then the earnings portion of the withdrawal is treated as income, and it would be taxed at the account owner's tax rate and subject to a 10% federal tax penalty and any applicable state taxes. So it's important to point out there that if there was a certain, whatever the amount of earnings on the withdrawal, that would be counted as income. So that could potentially affect an individual's means tested benefits. But otherwise, they would essentially as well have to pay taxes on those earnings if they were non-qualified. The retirement savings contributions credit, it's also known as the Savers Credit, is available to certain savers who earn typically lower income earners. It's available to certain savers who work and are depositing a portion of their earnings into an ABLE account. If an individual thinks they might be eligible for the Savers Credit, then I certainly encourage them to speak with a tax professional, because that might be something they'd like to take advantage of when utilizing their ABLE account. So how much can be put into an ABLE account? How much can be saved in an ABLE account? I'm going to start off specifically talking about how much an individual who is receiving SSI can save in their ABLE account. So if an individual is receiving SSI benefits, supplemental security income, they can save up to a maximum of $100,000 in their ABLE account. Pardon me. If their ABLE balance goes over $100,000, then their monthly cash benefit from SSI is temporarily suspended until their ABLE balance drops under $100,000. So the $100,000 is specifically tied to a maximum savings limit for individuals receiving SSI. If an individual is not receiving SSI, they don't have to worry about the $100,000 aggregate limit. It's also important to point out that they don't lose eligibility for SSI if their ABLE balance goes over $100,000. They just lose that important monthly cash benefit, that check that gets sent, that money that gets sent each month. But that can get reinstated once the ABLE balance again goes below $100,000. And an individual would receive Medicaid, continued to be eligible rather for Medicaid regardless of the account balance. The possibility of Medicaid recapture after death of the account owner is only possible after, so let's say we have an account owner that passes away. First, if there is money remaining in the ABLE account, then any qualified expense first must be paid for from the account. So that money first has to go to pay for those QDEs, qualified disability expenses. If Medicaid has the ability to, but is not required to seek recapture from an ABLE account. And I'll also point out, back to that list of qualified expenses, funeral and burial costs are a qualified expense. So if an individual is planning ahead and they plan to use all or a portion of their ABLE account to pay for their funeral and burial costs, then there could be certain circumstances where the ABLE funds are exhausted prior to the possibility of Medicaid recapture. But even so, Medicaid is not required to seek recapture. They just have the ability to do so. But Medicaid can only look at a recapture window from an ABLE account that both the ABLE account and Medicaid were active at the same time. So if an individual receives Medicaid benefits for, say, 20 years and they only have their ABLE account for 5 years, then Medicaid could only look at that 5-year window for recapture. Indiana's Medicaid has taken the stance that they will not actively pursue recapture from InvestABLE account owners from their Indiana ABLE accounts unless they are federally required to do so. So to throw some additional numbers at you here in a couple moments in regards to annual contribution limits and what the other aggregate savings limit for non-SSI beneficiaries. I will first point out that there is only one ABLE account allowed per owner, but anyone can contribute. So with InvestABLE Indiana, we do have the UGift feature. And if you're familiar with our state's 529 college savings program at all, you might have heard of the UGift option before, but it's a really unique and amazing way for anyone to easily contribute into your InvestABLE account without having direct access to the account. It's a safe and secure way that an individual can deposit funds into your InvestABLE account. So say you have holiday, special occasion coming up and you really don't want money sent directly to you, you don't necessarily need anything, then you can just ask family, friends, loved ones, anyone to easily and safely and securely contribute into your InvestABLE account through the UGift option. And it generates a unique code for your account. You send that code to these individuals and they can directly contribute into your account. But $15,000 is the annual contribution limit, and this is an aggregate amount. So if you are depositing, say, $5,000 into your ABLE account per year, then other contributing sources could not go over the that additional $10,000. So the $15,000 is a total of all contributions and contributing sources. The aggregate savings limit for an individual who is not receiving SSI is $450,000 for Indiana account holders. And this amount is just mirrored off of our state limit for 529 savings programs. Rollovers from 529s into 529A ABLE accounts are allowable. So say an individual has money in a 529 and they would like to transfer that into their ABLE account, they can certainly do so. I do encourage individuals who are using Indiana's College Choice Program, which is our 529 program, to consult with their tax advisor in regards to any potential tax implications, because we do have a nice tax credit in that program. that they're an individual, if they've received that tax credit under that program, they could face recapture of all or part of that tax credit if they are regularly making that rollover. And I will mention, we have tried to get the tax parity offered to InvestABLE Indiana. We just haven't been successful at this point, but we will continue to advocate for that and try to get that equal tax treatment for our ABLE account beneficiaries in our state. Able to Work is a really nice recent legislative enhancement for ABLE accounts, and it allows for individuals who are working and have earned income to contribute above and beyond that $15,000 limit. And the additional contributions specifically, they need to be from the individual's earned income. So if an individual is working and contributes that additional earned income, they can contribute up to the lesser of the following, and that is either their annual gross income or the federal poverty level. Now, the federal poverty level for the previous year, because that's how the federal poverty level for Able to Work operates off of, or how it operates, the federal poverty level was $12,760. So it is a possibility that an individual who is participating in making Able to Work contributions into their ABLE account could deposit or potentially contribute into their ABLE account upwards of $27,000 per year. So that's just a nice incentive and again, legislative enhancement for our account owners who are working and contributing a portion of their earned income. And I will also mention that you can deposit SSI benefits into an ABLE account if you would like to do so as well. So we do understand that investing can be confusing, and historically, again, we're working with a population that has not been given many options to save outside of, say, a special needs trust or a Miller trust. And I will mention, before I dive too deeply into our investment options, that special needs trusts and ABLE accounts can absolutely be used together. Just think of them as tools in your toolbox, and make sure that you're tapping into all of these different tools. And we have Voc Rehab services that can cover a lot of work-related expenses. But if there's something that, say, those services and that support cannot cover, then an ABLE account is an excellent opportunity to step in and cover an expense that someone might be facing. So with InvestABLE Indiana, we do offer 6 investment options, from aggressive options seeking a higher return to more conservative investment options that place capital preservation over growth. So we've really tried to offer choices for every type of investor. We also have a low interest bearing checking option with that comes with a debit card, trying to get my words out here, that comes with a debit card. And I will mention that the checking option, we have partnered with Fifth Third Bank to offer that in our program. I will mention, though, that you do not go to a Fifth Third Bank or any brick and mortar physical location to open an InvestABLE account. It is all done online. And our client services team is happy to help with any questions in the enrollment process. But again, that checking option, our partner is Fifth Third Bank, and it does come with that debit card. So to give you a high level overview of what our investment lineup looks like, we have more aggressive options. We have a moderately aggressive option, a growth option with a 60, that one has the 60-40 split of stocks and bonds. We have a moderate option, a moderately conservative option, and a conservative option that has 60% in cash investments or cash option, 30% in bonds, and 10% in stocks. So the checking option is 100% cash based. It has all the traditional FDIC rules and regulations applied to that checking option. Sallie Mae Bank provides the high yield savings account in the applicable target risk options. And essentially our investments are composed of target allocations to mutual funds and ETFs, and the sponsors for those are BlackRock, Schwab, and Vanguard. And I mentioned that the checking option is, we've partnered with Fifth Third Bank to offer that. So federal requirements for allocation changes specify that you can only make 2 allocation changes per year amongst the investment options. So we have tried to simplify that by offering systematic exchanges. You cannot move money freely from an investment account to the checking account without the systematic exchanges. But you can make a withdrawal from any investment option at any time. You can make a disbursement request online or by phone. We do ask that you allow for at least 10 business days for the money to, well, 10 days, yeah, business days to allow for the money to reach the payee. It typically is processed within 2 to 3 days, I will say, but we just ask for that 10-day window to, just in case the withdrawal request is initiated around the time of a weekend or holiday. So I did mention that we have affordable fee structures within the program, and I mentioned that it's just $25 to open an InvestABLE account. There are certain annual asset-based fees on the investment options, and those annual asset-based fees range from 0.34 to 0.37%. And there is an annual account maintenance fee that is either $60 per year or $45 per year. You can get that price reduction to $45 per year for that maintenance fee if you enroll in electronic delivery of your statements and notifications. So, and I will also mention that that maintenance fee is, it's the $45 or the $60 is how much will be paid out over the year, but it is taken out on a quarterly basis. So it's just over $11 a quarter if they're enrolled in e-delivery from their, for their account. That's what their maintenance fee would be per quarter, just over $11. The checking option, there is a $2 a month fee for that option, but this can also easily be waived if you maintain an average daily balance in your ABLE account of $250 or more, or again, if you enroll in electronic statement delivery with Fifth Third Bank. So there are some possibilities and opportunities to reduce the fees that you're paying in the account. We do have a user-friendly website that has lots of information available on it. The website is in.savewithable.com. And as I mentioned, enrollment is all done online. We do encourage individuals to take a look at the program disclosure statement prior to enrolling. Now, I recognize that the program disclosure statement is a lengthy document and it has a lot of heavy information. Well, not heavy information, but a lot of information in it. So if you want to, it is possible to do an easy search and find in the document if you want to specifically look at fees or how do you withdraw money, how do you make contributions, that sort of thing. And I need to uphold, my fiduciary duty by encouraging individuals to look at the program disclosure statement. But in the enrollment process, it's really, again, 3 easy steps. A second step would be to choose the best investment option for the individual enrolling, for yourself, for your loved one. And then you're going to need certain personal identifying information to enroll. So you'll need a street address, a social security or taxpayer ID number, birth date, and a personal bank account number if you'd like to pre-schedule contributions from a personal checking or savings account. So again, enrollment is done online at in.savewithable.com. You will need a minimum of $25 to open the account. We see a lot of individuals, even, I'll say, for example, individuals that might have an inheritance or a settlement that if it's at or below that $15,000 amount, then they might use open an InvestABLE account to put those dollars into to save for their future. If the inheritance or settlement is over $15,000, then that might be a great opportunity to use an ABLE account and say a special needs trust. But in the enrollment process, you're going to be asked who is opening this account. That'll be like one of the first questions that you're asked, and the individual who's opening the account, again, needs to be the eligible individual or an authorized individual. So a parent, guardian, someone with power of attorney, and then verification that the eligible individual has a qualifying disability if they are going to self-certify for the ABLE account. And then you'll be walked through the enrollment process that you'll select from the different investment options designed to meet your long-term or short-term investment needs. I really encourage individuals to, if they're not sure how they should be investing their money within the program, then certainly they can speak with a financial advisor about their unique circumstances and what they are hoping to save for. So it's a really great opportunity to pull in your supports around you to determine how you'd like to save and best save for your needs. And then again, certainly I encourage individuals to use the YouGift feature and encourage family members and friends to contribute into your account to help save for your future. This is important legal information that I must put up. Just stating that, again, I'm not qualified to give tax or legal advice as related to disability or qualified expenses. A census actually manages our InvestABLE Indiana program. They are our program manager for our state's 529 program as well. So they are a trusted partner in the industry. I do have a list of frequently asked questions. If there's one that stands out to individuals, I encourage you certainly to point that out to me. But I do try to go through all of these questions as in-depth as I can throughout my presentation. But the questions such as, can I have more than one InvestABLE Indiana account? No, you can only have one ABLE account in general. But say if an individual opens an ABLE account in another state, but they would like to transfer or roll over, they would have to close that ABLE account and open the new one. But the only time that technically the individual could have, in that circumstance, would have two ABLE accounts open is just to initiate that transfer of money. So you are only allowed one ABLE account per owner. I mentioned that $15,000 per year can be contributed into the account. But for individuals who are working, they can contribute more from their earned income. And certainly family members and friends can also make contributions into an account. I mentioned that ABLE accounts and special needs trusts can also be used together. We see it happening all the time. We see individuals who have a special needs trust funding their ABLE account from their special needs trust. It's nice to maybe if it's right for the person to have both types of savings options, because certainly with an ABLE account, you have direct access to your own money and you're able to manage your own money, and you don't have to go through a trustee as you would with a trust and, you know, make those sorts of disbursement requests or withdrawal requests. The last question on the list of frequently asked questions, and I didn't go through all of them again because I've tried to touch on them throughout the presentation, but is there a residency requirement for InvestABLE Indiana? No, there is not. Within our program, certain states with ABLE plans do have a residency requirement. For example, Florida is one state that you must be a resident of Florida to enroll in their ABLE program. But with InvestABLE Indiana, there is no residency requirement. So if an individual lives out of state and wants to open up their ABLE account in Indiana, we allow that. If an individual enrolls in InvestABLE Indiana as an Indiana resident and they move out of state and they no longer live here, then they can keep their ABLE account in Indiana. So that concludes my presentation. I think we have some time here at the end. Again, I'll go through any questions that have popped up in the chat. But again, I'll leave you with a final note on the website and how to get a hold of us. Again, our website is in.savewithable.com. Type it in exactly like that, and it will take you to the site. There's lots of resources available on there. We launched a new resource page within the past year that contains a few videos and other resources. On the website, you can learn more about the program, request more information, and again, enroll. Our client services team is also happy to assist you, and their number is 888-609-3457, and they're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And their email is in.clientservice@savewithable.com.
Amy, we do have one question already.
Yeah.
So it's if both members of a family, husband and wife qualify, they both can have an account.
Yes. And I will mention, I talked a little bit about rollovers, 529 rollovers. You can, of course, roll over from one ABLE account to another. Well, if specifically I mentioned that out of state or rolling over money from one program to another. So if an individual has a qualified sibling with a disability, and for whatever reason, maybe they don't want to have their ABLE account anymore, or they would like to roll over funds to that qualified sibling, they can do that. So it specifically states a qualified sibling with a disability presently. But in regards specifically to the question presented, yes, if we have two ABLE eligible individuals who are married, they can each have their own account. Susan asked, how are you getting the word out to people who may be eligible? I do a lot of presentations like this, and I really appreciate these community partnerships. Jared's been an excellent advocate and voice for our program, but it's really a grassroots effort. We see our account owners when we do surveys of new account owners and maybe individuals who have closed their account, but specifically new account owners. They are learning about the programs from trusted sources, from financial advisors, from disability service organizations. I'm a staff of one. We do marketing throughout the state. So we're hoping, we've engaged a new marketing firm, and so we're hoping to see some new opportunity there and getting additional reach. But it is really the best avenues to get information out there are community partners such as Work to Include. And I've done a lot of work with other state entities as well, and partners to help educate individuals. Are there any other questions? I know it's a lot of information, and I don't want to overwhelm you with all the information. With so much information, I do try to pack as much into my presentations as I can. But I don't want you to feel like you have to be an ABLE expert in order to enroll in any ABLE program. We talk to account owners that feel that they waited too long, because really it's never too early to start saving. It's important to start saving and thinking about your future. So I'm happy to be a resource to you. Again, reach out to our client services team if you have additional questions. I think we have a couple more that came in. Jared, are vacations considered a qualified expense? So I will again restate my legal disclaimer that I cannot, not authorized to give legal advice as related, or tax advice as related to qualified expense, but I will share stories. I work closely with some special needs planners and attorneys who have advised clients that yes, they can use their ABLE account for paying for a vacation. It really is just dependent on what resources an individual has available to them, because certainly I wouldn't want to say to one person that yes, a vacation, and I couldn't say to one person that yes, a vacation is a qualified expense, and know that, or find out that they had other resources available to them to help cover that expense. And I wouldn't, want to tell someone else that, it wouldn't be, because it's really dependent on what an individual's unique circumstances are. So good rule of thumb is to consider all of your non-ABLE resources. And so is it a personal checking or savings account? Do you have a trust? What other type of funding options for that vacation do you have? Can those other non-able resources cover that vacation? If the answer is no, then the ABLE account might be a great opportunity to help pay for that. So again, it's really dependent on what that individual's unique circumstances are. There's another question, can people who qualify have other investment accounts? Absolutely. If you're participating in an employer-sponsored retirement program, you can also have an InvestABLE account. We see individuals who are using their accounts to maybe help supplement their retirement and take advantage of all of the unique savings opportunities that might be available to them. I get a lot of account owners, just to give some other examples, who are just super excited about having an opportunity for an ABLE account and having an account, and that they don't have to spend down their money. They don't have to buy unnecessary things to help keep their resource limit below $2,000. So instead of spending down your money at the end of the month, you can put that money into an ABLE account and potentially see some interest grow on your investments. So it provides a really unique savings and investment opportunity of financial inclusion and economic empowerment for the population. Does inheritance from family affect eligibility? I'm guessing we're talking about, does it affect inheritance affect ABLE eligibility? Because if this is more of a benefits related question, I would have to defer to the benefits experts if we have one of those in the room. But inheritance from a family member would not affect ABLE eligibility. The only ABLE eligibility that exists is that the onset of disability must have occurred prior to the age of 26, that they're receiving SSI or SSDI, or they can self-certify for the program. But if you had an inheritance from a family, you could certainly deposit those inheritance, that money into an ABLE account. Parents don't have to disinherit their children. They can start saving for their children's future as well. So that's a very nice feature, or benefit, I should say. But if that question was directed more at benefits eligibility, I would certainly encourage you to speak with a benefits expert about your circumstances. And if you want to come back to our 4 o'clock session, I certainly encourage you to do so. Again, I know it's a lot of information, and sometimes I change it up. Sometimes I'll, chew off a different additional information. I do try to include, again, as much as I possibly can, but I also know that it's a lot of information and can be a lot to absorb in one session. And I will put in the chat my email address if you'd like to reach out to me individually. I'm happy to answer any questions that way, or have a phone call with you. Again, certainly reach out to our client services team, especially like if you have questions in the enrollment process. They're really helpful in walking individuals through the process if they're not quite sure what to put where, or what exactly is needed for a step. I will mention, if an individual is under a guardianship, and say a guardian is enrolling for an ABLE account on their behalf, we do, with InvestABLE Indiana, request that guardianship specify that the guardian has the ability to make financial decisions on behalf of the account owner, because we do want to protect our account owners. So if it's just guardianship of the person and not guardianship of the estate, we would need to see some sort of modification to that guardianship, or some legal ability given to a guardian to make those decisions. If the account owner has the ability to give full power of attorney for just the plan to someone else, then they can do that as well. If they have the ability to sign that POA then they could do that if they would like someone else to open and manage the account on their behalf. We also have, we have the full POA, power of attorney, that's available through the program if the person can sign that legal document. But if an account owner would like to give some level of additional authorization to someone else to help them keep an eye on their account or help manage their account, there are varying levels of authorization available within our program as well, if they would like. I'm just putting my email into the chat. My email is acorbin@tos.in.gov. That's acorbin@tos.in.gov.
We did have one more question, Amy. Do you do after hours evening presentations?
I do. I absolutely do. Great question. And I'm happy you asked it, because I always do like to try to put this plug in there that if you are affiliated with another organization, you work for an organization, any sort of group that would like to learn more about ABLE accounts and about Indiana's program, please shoot me an email or give me a phone call. I'm happy to accommodate that. I do after hours presentations all the time. Are there any other questions? Jared, you've been an excellent advocate for the program, as I've mentioned, and you've asked some really good questions. Have there been any key points that I've missed today, or anything that you like me to touch on in addition to all of this?
If you have a couple minutes, can you just share a brief, I guess, success story, if you will?
Success stories. Well, I can give a handful of different stories. We have members account owners who they've just been thrilled to have an ABLE account because they were able to finally save for and purchase their accessible vehicle, because those vehicles are so expensive. We have parents saving for their young children, and they're just happy to be able to save for their child who has a disability in the same ways that they can save for their child without a disability and other savings types of accounts. Trying to think of some of the examples you put me on the spot, now I'm forgetting. Account owners that are just happy to not have to spend down their money at the end of the month and have this additional option. They don't have to buy another television or whatever, that they can mindfully and resourcefully save their money, save for their future. I get a lot of questions as to whether or not, I receive Medicaid waiver services. Can I use an ABLE account? Absolutely. Again, the funds in this account don't count toward the determination or eligibility for those means tested programs. Account owners who I hear often that they're just saving for the future, saving for the what ifs in life. They haven't really had the opportunity to save in the past. Special needs trust wasn't necessarily the route that they wanted to go. And they're using their ABLE account as that long-term savings option. So I know those aren't like super specific, but just some ways that we're seeing our account owners utilizing the account.
Sounds great. Well, I would like to thank you, Amy, for taking time out of your day to inform our local Terre Haute area about INvestABLE Indiana, and look forward to seeing your next presentation at 4.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for
Thank you,
attending
Amy.
as well.
See you in a bit.